Good morning. Good morning, Brother Bobby. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, Periscope. As you all come on in this morning, God bless you all. They got me podium today. Good morning, Sister Mom Bird. Got a power-packed lesson for you all today on this morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. So this morning, y'all know I've been traveling a lot this week. God has been good. We've been traveling all over the Southeast. I think I went from, God blessed me to travel down this week, down to, where was I? Down to Alabama. Yeah, I hadn't spent any time down to Alabama. But I actually traveled down to Alabama this week and did some things down there on the secular side. Like I tell people all the time, that PhD just not on there, that was actually earned. God blessed me to be a mathematician. Went down there and represented the kingdom down there. Because, you just don't represent the kingdom just in part-time. You represent the kingdom all the time. So, God has blessed me to be able to uniquely blend what I do mathematically with him. And actually, I gave a talk on, building, how to make bricks without straw. And I gave it actually from how in the biblical sense, when, the children of Israel went in and they were building the bricks without the straw. And, technically they never did that. Moses intervenes with God intervening with him. And technically they never built the bricks without straw. But we use that as a motivational point to talk about the things that I was talking about, how we inspire others to do things in teaching. But on this week, I was looking here and we was going through the lesson, and as I was flying back on yesterday and, flights got delayed and things like that, and you have to look at it as a blessing in everything. There's a blessing in everything. We often tell God, any way you bless me, Lord, I'll be satisfied. And I've said that, and I say it all the time, any way you bless me, Lord, I'll be satisfied. And we ask God to do things for us and send us on vacations. But will we really take a blessing any way God sends it? And he sent me one yesterday. We were sitting there and they were saying, well, on your flight, they were looking for somebody that said, will you take a bump? They oversell flights and things of that nature. And my flight, I was already on there, but the flight was fine, but the weather had started to change a little bit. It was, it's been raining, the storms we've been seeing down in the Southeast here the last couple of days, and they wanted to lighten the plane up a little bit. They wanted to take some people off the plane. And they made and I was just telling the girl that was sitting beside me, I said, if they offer something outrageous like $1,000, I'd take a bump. And the next thing that came out the man's mouth, he said, we'll give you $800. We'll give you $800. And I said, well, I think that's good enough for me. So I went up to the desk and they gave me $800 and a flight for a future date, and the thing is, so after I went up there and I saw everything, it cost me, they drove me from Alabama to Florida. They paid for that. So it cost me another hour ride. And I flew from Florida to Alabama. And I still got here to Greensboro. And I still got here in time to talk to you all and speak with you all this morning. And at the end of the day, it cost me 2 more hours. I was going to get here at 9 o'clock last night. I got here at 11 o'clock last night. 2 hours for $800. And now I'm able to probably take my wife on an anniversary trip that I might not have been able to afford. So look, there's a blessing in everything. See, you got to look at the little stuff. So let that be a lesson to you. God sends blessings in smaller things. Now you look at it like this. First off, I went on a trip that, number one, I didn't pay for initially. I was invited to go to this conference. I went to speak at this conference. Matter of fact, if the truth was told, I was paid to go to this conference to speak. So they initially paid for the room, they paid for the flight, they paid for everything initially for me to go there, which was a blessing in itself, right? Now I get down there, and out of this, now I walk away with enough, so now to be able to take my wife on another vacation or an anniversary trip within a year at an $800 value. Well, we went to Chicago not that long ago. It only cost $400 to send both of us. So the way I see it, we might have 2 trips for that. See, the blessings God said in his word that men should do what? Give unto your bosom.
That's right.
And oftentimes we waiting for what? We're looking at the form like this. People hand us physical money and things in our hand. No, you got to look at the little things God does. He do stuff all the time. If he gave you life and breath in your body and you ain't sick, that's a blessing in itself. Because there are rich people who wish that they were well in their bodies. So sometimes we got to look at the things, God gives us things all the time. He gives us stuff back. And I have testimonies and things like this that I tell people all the time, but people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that's how God gives his blessings. He gives his blessings in way of knowledge sometimes. I told you on last week, I bought some parts for my car, and I went home and I noticed that it was online, the same exact part for like almost $70, $80 less. I bought those parts, swapped them out, and took the other parts back. Now I put that money back in my pocket.
That's right.
That's a blessing.
More than a blessing.
Because the Bible says what? He'll give you knowledge. He'll give you wisdom if you ask for it. You got to be what? Good steward of your resources. But yet we said we want to be a what? Above and not beneath, right? We want to be the head and not the tail. I'm trying to give you what? The wisdom that God has given us. He said he'll make us wise. That's being wise. That's being a good steward of your resources. That's not being cheap. Well, we call it being cheap when you're sitting on the side of the road hungry. You can call it being cheap when I'm out enjoying my family and spending time with my family and you have to work every day. You call it being cheap then. And I call it being wise. We'll see then, right? Because that's what the Bible says. So we got what? Get out of that stuff. Now, so let me get back into it. So what I want to talk about to you today, the gross estimation of you. So many times we have these kind of things, but we grossly underestimate them. That was an example. That's a blessing. That was an $800 blessing. I didn't even tell you the other part. They gave me another $30 to eat. You see what I'm saying? They gave me 2 vouchers to eat, which went for anything in the entire airport. I went to 2 different airports. I was in Pensacola, and then I was in the airport in Atlanta, which is humongous. I went anywhere that I wanted to go, and they took those. Those are blessings. And you have to look at them like that. So I got $30 worth to eat of anything I wanted. Anything. So you look at the end of the day, I walked away with $830 worth of blessings. And I still had the flight, and I still got home at a decent hour. See, it's how you look at it. It's the small things that equal the big blessing. So if you can't be happy with the smaller things God do, how is God gonna know you're gonna be happy with the big people? Like, well, I ain't gonna praise God until he does this. You gotta be grateful over the little things. You gotta praise God over the little stuff. And this is what I'm talking about today, how we underestimate. We underestimate ourselves. We underestimate because you know what? It ain't big enough yet. And this is what I'm going to talk about today. It ain't big enough for us yet. So what? We lay it to the side. It ain't big enough for us yet. It ain't to the level that we expect it to be at. So we disregard it. Not knowing that everything big started out small. Look how big you and I are. How did we start out? We couldn't even see us. We were microscopic. But look how big we are. I'm 6'2", about 280, right? But I started out microscopic. It's hard to believe that, but I started out microscopic, right? That's right. That's how I started out. So this is what we in Genesis, chapter 4, and I'm going to read verses 1 through 8. Now this story here is going to probably mess some of you up because we're going to talk about somebody that people had traditionally talked about in the Bible in a positive sense. And you all know, that's my MO. I like to talk about things that people hadn't talked about because that's the whole point. Because we talk about all these other stories all the time. Everybody talks about those. But let's talk about some things that people don't talk about. Let's talk about the hard stuff. Let's talk about Cain. Let's talk about Cain. Because Cain gets a bad rep. Cain made one mistake. It was a big mistake. But Cain makes one mistake and he's in damnation for forever. Literally, he really made one really big mistake, right? And that's it. We write him off for forever, right? So let's talk about Cain. Genesis 4, 1 through 8. And we're talking about the gross underestimation of you. Because if we underestimate ourselves, we'll make mistakes too. And this is what we're going to talk about. And it said this. And Adam knew Eve. And in the Bible, when they say knew, they just say, hey, I just knew her because she stayed down the street. I mean, he knew her sexually. And knew his wife. And she conceived and bare Cain. And she said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she bare again his brother, Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep. So Abel here is telling his job. He's a keeper of sheep. Meaning, if you notice in the Bible, anytime they tell you their name, they usually tell you what? Their occupation. Interesting. Men are always identified by what? What they do. You want to see an angry man? Find a man without a job. Men identify by what they do. We all do. We get together in groups. First thing we ask the student, what you do for a living? That's how our conversations start. We identify by what we do. That's just how it goes. Okay? But Cain was a what? A tiller of the ground. They tell you right there. So they already, that's his job, this is my job. All right? And in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground and offered unto the Lord. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. Now, notice this here. You know, this is often taught that people say, well, you know, they were bringing forth a sacrifice. I don't see nothing here about the word sacrifice. They said they brought an offering. A sacrifice and offering are two different things. But that's another debate for another day. I'm not going to debate that today. Okay? It said, but it also said this. It said, Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock. Also meaning a what? Addition to. You know, you often hear this talked about where somebody says that what? The reason that God did not accept Cain's offering was because it was not what? The first. Well, this right here, if according to the English language, the way this was written, it says also his firstlings, which would indicate what? This was also his what? If this was also his firstlings, that means that the one prior to had to be what? His first too. So that right there, just by the way it's written, had to be what? Debunk that. Okay? I'm just, you know me now. I'm going right this. We just reading it. Okay? Of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and his offering, but unto Cain and his offering had no respect. So, he gave an offering. They both gave offerings. They both gave the first of their offerings. God respects Abel's offering, but he doesn't respect Cain's offering. What could be the difference between the two? And theologians have debated this for all the time, right? So, and this debate is not going to be settled here today. I mean, I can give my opinion of what I think it is. To be honest, all it's going to be is what? Really, my opinion. And you can have your own too. So, I mean, I'm not going to say, oh, I'm just right. You know, I can't say that. All I can do is give you what I believe is my opinion. And I believe here, we'll talk about it. I don't want to give myself away. All right? And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. He was sad, right? And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And where is thy countenance fallen? Basically, why are you sad? And thou doest well. If thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted? God asked Cain a question. Think about what he just asked him. If thou doest well, why is thou sad? He gave his first, but this will maybe give indication that this was not his what? His best. So it's one thing to give your first, but it's also first to give the best of your first, right? All right, so I mean, what do you mean by that, Doc? Okay, so this could be the first of everything, right? I got the first of this. But there can be a portion of this that's better than this. So he's saying that, look, if you did well, think about it like this. We all gone to school, right? And we have all been in a position where we've taken the test. And you studied till you felt like your eyeballs just fell out, right? And at some point you go in there, you just take the test. And I've been in a position that I've went in there and I've taken the test. And I walked in there and you know what? I said, I don't even care what I get. You ever been to that point? Because you done did everything you know in your possible mind to do well on this test. So at this point, you don't even care. If If I fail, I fail. If I do well, I do well, because I done everything within my power to do well on this test. When you reach that point of saturation, that's what he's talking about. But when you go in there and you walk out that test and say, you know what, I could have did just this, or I could have prepared a little bit more, that's different. And that's what he's asking Cain here. And that's the difference between the two. Cain comes up, yes, he gives it his best shot, but he didn't give it his 100%. You know, Hezekiah Walker came out with a song a couple years ago said, 99 and a half just won't do. It just won't do. That's what it is right here. See, he gave it, but he can give it 99 and a half. And God was looking at what? 99 and a half. He was looking at the attitude in which it was given. But what's more important here is this, though. So let's go on. So we know all that story, but this is what I want to get on. Is more this. Is that what does Cain actually give up? Because he didn't know who he was. Let's look at Cain for a second. So let's walk away from the story. Let's look at just who Cain is. Cain is a tiller of the ground. By nurture of that, Cain is what? A planter, a sower of seed. Who you know is broke that's a sower? I don't know broke sowers. Because sowers know how to carry themselves. They can reproduce themselves. You can put somebody who can sow in desolate place. They can find fertile ground. They can make it happen by themselves. Look at Abel on the other side. What is Abel? Abel is not a sower. Abel is more of a what? Caregiver. He only can take care of what's put in his hand. That's a word right there for somebody. He only can take care of what's given to him. So if nobody give him anything, he has nothing. Remember what he starts out with. He has these sheep that are given. So somebody has to, in the beginning, give him what? These sheep to take care of. Now he takes care of that and he has to be a good steward of that. But if those go away, what happens? He has nothing. But somebody who's a sower, they can always start again. That's why you want to be a sower. That's why you want to be a risk taker. Somebody who's a sower, they can always pick up again and plant. But somebody who's a caregiver, once they run out, or once they don't have any more, or once they don't have any more of that situation, they done. What did he give up? Because he was looking at his brother, thought his brother had more than what he had. And all his brother could do was care for what he had. Because see, what Cain had, he could have given to his brother, and his brother could have cared for what he had, but Cain could produce. And Abel couldn't. Abel only could take care of what Cain could produce. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, this is... Get it? Look at this other part. What does the Bible say about it after this? Then it says what? He goes back in verse 7. He says this. He says, and in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought forth of the fruit of the ground. That means Cain is patient. How many people you know without patience that are in bad situations? People who are patient, it seems to always work out for them. Because they're willing to wait. They're willing to wait it out. They're willing to wait it out. So now you got somebody who's a planter. A planter what plants seed. We know faith is what? Seed. So he's willing to plant the seed. And now he's willing to what? Trust God to wait on the seed.
That's right. That's it.
I'm telling y'all, I'm giving y'all this a lot better than y'all was receiving it. I'm telling you. But we talking about Cain. Cain gets a bad rap. I'm talking about you, the underestimation of you. You looking at what somebody else got, and all they can do is care for what you give. You can create it, baby. You can start from nothing and make it happen, and all they can do is carry what you create. But you worried about what they get. What's wrong with you? Yeah, you about to give it all away. What else does Cain do? This is the other blessing of Cain. Listen to this. Check this out. This is what else Cain got. Cain is the firstborn. What do we know about the firstborns in the Bible? What do we know about firstborns and families in general? The blessing is always on the firstborn. By virtue of him being birthright is a big deal. And he's what? Male. Whoo! He ain't got to do anything. He was just born at the right place at the right time. How much more favor can you get? So this dude is like, think about it. Not only do you got the skill you can create, and you got this virtue of patience, and you got the double whammy of favor. And you gave it away because you were mad because your brother can take care of some animals. Think about it. So now let's look at introspection. How many of you mad at somebody else for something they seem like they could do and you got the power to create it? You got the favor of God on your life. God has put you in position. All you got to do is have a little patience and wait your turn. Your season is coming. If it's yours, just chill out. See, this is interesting when I found out. And somebody from the world had to teach me this, right? It was that, I used to be on this thing like, you know what, I know all this stuff. And then, some people like, well, if you know it and whatever, you can't just tell everybody, right? Because if you tell everybody else, they going to take it and then they going to make it theirs. And then they going to make a whole lot of money off of it. And then you ain't going to get it when you want it. And, I used to subscribe to that theory. And because it makes sense, right, from the world point of view. But what I realized is that God's ways are not our ways. Our thoughts is not his thoughts. And the way the kingdom works in reverse to the way the world works. So what God says is everything I give you, give it away. Yes. And the more you give it away, the more I can give you. And the more that they take away, the more I can give you. And every time they think they got something, I just give you a little bit more. That's right. So what I found out is the more I give it away, the more they want to give it back to me. And the more I even want to give that away, the more they want to even give that back to me. And what happened is I end up turning stuff down, and now I end up getting spiritual indigestion because I cannot take any more. And that's where you end up at, right? So then what I end up finding is that now you get to a point you got to start saying no to stuff. And then you start narrowing down, then that's when you become focused, right? And that's the part I'm trying to work on. It's like start to cut stuff off. It's like, no, I'm not that I'm cutting people off, but I have to stay with other people I'm accountable to first, mainly my family, right? Because that's my first ministry. And that's your first one too, right? So let us be saving the world. Yes? Yes. So Cain here, his attitude, right? He's looking at so much at, after this, he's so jealous of his brother because God accepts his gift. And all God was saying, look, bro, you just didn't give me all of it, right? Because if you just stopped giving me 99 and a half, and gave me the 100, we'd have been good. And we would have went on, and it would not been any issue. But since you want to give me 99 and a half, he just questioned him about it. He got mad about it. And since he didn't realize all the things that he had in him, since he didn't realize all the blessings God had already hooked him up with, since he didn't realize that, he had all these underestimated things in him that he did not tap into, nor did he give himself time to tap into because he was so busy looking at what somebody else has instead of being focused on the race that he was given, instead of him being focused on what God has given him, instead of him being patient and developing the things that God has given him, instead of him hooking up on Team Jesus and developing people and things around him, he's so focused on his brother because God had accepted his gift and it's his brother's time. All right, he got it this time. It's okay. I celebrate with him. So now I get to the point, I celebrate with people. I'm with you. Because I know my time is coming. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. I celebrate. I really do. And to be honest, I am really, I mean, it's not fake either. I'm really happy for them. Because I'm like, man, it just means I'm getting closer. I really am. That means I'm getting closer. And that means that, my time is coming. And that means that, because what happens is, God is using all these things that when it's time for you to be there, you'll be there. And that's what I'm finding out. So when you're giving this stuff away and you're doing all these things, you're not so much giving it away. What you're doing is you're putting yourself in position. Because what happens is now, when you put this stuff out, and say, for instance, like if I'm selling something, right? And you all know I have my insurance company and stuff on the side. And I started telling stuff. I used to be like, well, I'm not going to say this. It came to me and I was talking to somebody else. I was like, no, it's about giving people good information, period. Because if I care for people like I say I do, I don't care where to get what they need. And if I'm truly sincere about what I'm doing, then that's what it's about, right? And then when I find out in time, if they really want, sometimes they come back. And those are the ones that come back is usually the ones I want, because those are the ones who are going to pay their bill. Yeah, right? So, it's all good. But see, the thing here is with Cain gets caught up and looking at his brother's situation, because God accepted him. God didn't get mad. God didn't get mad with him. God just asked him. He said, "Why are you mad?" Because if you look what he asked him. He just said this, and my time is up. He said, "If thou doest well, why shall not be accepted?" He just said, if you gave it all, you had no problem not to be accepted. But when he got mad with this, he let sin in the door and all this, because Cain had it going on. Cain had all this. His brother couldn't do nothing but care for some animals. His brother was just a caregiver. His brother was a receiver of the blessing. His brother was just a manager of blessings. That's all. Cain could actually create them. Think about it. When them animals couldn't eat, Cain could always grow some food. Cain could be patient. Cain knew how to do some stuff. Cain was first born. Cain had the blessing. The blessings flow from what? The head down. And gave it all away. All away. So I ask you today, are you underestimating yourself? What is it in you that you're about to give up and give away because you're looking at somebody else? You're going to murder somebody else over something that's so temporary when God has put a permanent situation in you. A permanent situation in you. I'm done. God bless you all. Out there on Facebook today, I hope God has blessed you all. Love you all. Thank you all for following me. And have any questions or anything, we'll go in later. Right after this, we'll get off and we'll go right back into about Cain on the bad side. But Cain had a lot of good things. It's just that Cain got hung up, not looking at all the things that God had really blessed him with. And he got hung up, but a handful of things. But we get so caught up in looking at, okay, they in their season right now, they in their thing right now, and we give up what God is planning in us. Because things that are good and things that take root long term, they take time. Things that are going to be here for a while, they take time to grow. That short-term stuff is here today, gone tomorrow. So you want to be rooted and grounded. If you didn't follow me on Facebook, I ask you add me as a link. Add me or subscribe to me. Every Sunday morning at 9:25 on Periscope. You slide to the left and add me. Follow me or Android. I think it's from the bottom up. Add me, and we do the prayer, 10-minute prayer every day on Periscope and Facebook. So God bless you all. May heaven smile upon you, and have a great day. If you're on your way to church, or if you've already been to church, or if this is church for you today. Love you all. Take care. And like I said, we'll get off. We'll be right back with 10-minute prayer. God bless you. Bye-bye.